Hello, folks. Good to have Tyler Prince on this edition of Burning Platform. Tyler and I worked together. Tyler, what was it, about almost 30 years ago at Price?
That's right. That's right.
You know, you've aged pretty well. Both of us had more hair back then.
That's right.
We're going to talk about the ecosystem around Salesforce. You run the worldwide alliances and channels at Salesforce. So looking forward to that. But tell the audience about your background. You've got a pretty impressive career.
Yeah, happy to, Vinnie, and it's great to see you as always. It has been a while, but it's been good to stay in touch. And of course, I've enjoyed following you and reading your insights about the industry that we find ourselves in. So I joined Salesforce 8 years ago today, in fact. Prior to that, I was a partner at PwC running their Oracle practice on a worldwide basis. Prior to that, I was at Oracle for 8 years. And prior to that, I was in consulting for 16 years. Of course, we crossed paths and worked together at PwC before it became IBM. But I started my career at Andersen Consulting, which I'm now dating myself because that eventually became Accenture. But for anybody in our age group, you'll remember Arthur Andersen and Andersen Consulting in those days. So if you add all that up, it's about 30 plus years, about half in the consulting business around enterprise applications and half working at big technology providers like Salesforce. And in this case, at Salesforce, I've had a variety of roles, but the one role that I know you're keen to talk about is our partner strategy and running our partner business on a global basis.
Tyler, I'm reminded one of the conversations we had was, and it came up a couple of weeks ago. I was watching a show of Food Factory. I don't watch politics. I watch episodes of history and geography and things like Food Factory. It was about root beer. And I said, I remember Tyler hated root beer. And so this thing showed a tank of root beer. And it's got a whole bunch of stuff floating, licorice and so on. I said, that's why he hates it. I hate it too.
You have a good memory. You're right. I do not like root beer. So
hey, one little fact I remember. So Tyler, it was with the pandemic and people moving to work from home and so on, obviously the SI world was turned upside down, right? So let's make that the thread that goes through this conversation as we go through it. But Mark has talked about 50 billion in revenue. That's going to make you the biggest enterprise vendor there is, right? Tell us about the role you expect the partner ecosystem, your team, playing in getting to that ambitious goal.
Yeah, happy to. And the road to 50 billion certainly is an exciting one. It comes with a tremendous amount of innovation in our core products, but also through some exciting acquisitions, certainly most notably Slack, our most recent acquisition, but also if you consider our acquisition of Tableau and MuleSoft and a number of other companies, it's created this platform that is quite remarkable and really is being fueled and is fueling and supporting this move to digital transformation that you write often about, and that it happens at companies big and small, every industry, every corner of the globe. And we happen to think that the most important transformations start and end with the customer. And so we feel very well positioned, being a worldwide leader in customer solutions and CRM as a platform to enable that transformation. Of course, those transformations require a broader ecosystem in order to be successful. Many companies turn to expertise in the marketplace in the forms of consulting firms or maybe digital agencies, and want that added expertise because these are major transformations. Even in a small company, the idea of digitizing and supporting your customers in a new way comes with some change, and so we have partners fueling that. I also look after our ISV partners. And so those are third parties, of course, that are building applications that on our platform that integrate deeply to our CRM set of solutions. And those are intended to be extensions to Salesforce. So we do a lot. We have a lot of features and functions, an incredible amount of innovation in 21 years, but we don't do everything. And so there's a massive ecosystem of third-party software solutions that essentially extend our set of applications. And those are equally as critical in our customer success, and all of those pieces have been important to our company since the beginning, but they're even more important as we look to double the company over the next several years and engage with customers all around the world.
And you've made a couple of acquisitions there too, right? Velocity and so on. So from an application perspective, I've been pretty impressed with what Salesforce has done. Last year I interviewed a number of C-level executives in different industries, and to see things like Encino in banking, PPP loans, and so on. Pretty impressive that Salesforce was right next to them, right? Many other vendors missed out on that big opportunities in different industries. So that's been good to see. I've had a chance to talk to Niracha about verticals, Tony about diversity, trends, and so on, and other Salesforce executives in the last year. And the underlying theme was obviously the pandemic and how that was changing the trajectory. Tell me, in your team, how have you had to adjust? How have the partners adjusted, especially the SIs, adjusted to the big world turning upside down?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. In fact, I think the last 18 months has been challenging for everyone. No one is exempt from what we've faced over the last several years. But also, I think it comes in two forms of crisis: both the pandemic and health-related crisis, and the impact that's had on businesses, but also the equality or diversity crisis that we saw emerge at the same time. And so in both those areas, I'm proud of the company. I'm proud of my team. I'm proud of the partners that we support in a couple of ways. One, in terms of helping and supporting and addressing our partners with the economic crisis that was related to the pandemic. We did a couple things. One, we looked for ways that we could sort of, defer cost or fees or things like that. So we adjusted some of the elements of our partner program. We also recognized, particularly with the consulting partners, if some projects were slowing down, there was free time, less travel, that consultants had a thirst to beef up on their skills. So we augmented free training over the course of several quarters in order to really let people get the most out of their time. But I think probably the most impactful thing we did to support our partners, both consulting partners and ISVs, was really help them in their journey to digitize the way they engage with their customers. So as you know, the world of events and conferences have changed forever. The world of going to walk the halls of your customer changed. And so Salesforce pivoted very quickly to a virtual digital world. And we saw an opportunity and an obligation, quite frankly, to help our partners do the same. Not all of them have the same resources that Salesforce does because of our size. So we invested in some things. For example, we contracted with a large digital agency and essentially paid for digital marketing services for a number of partners to help them digitize their offerings. Maybe create a new website, maybe create a new brand, new positioning, move from an events marketing program to a digital marketing program. And so we've invested in things like that. And we've tried to share everything we've learned in this journey on how do you move to a new digital world to run your business. And I like to think that we've made those investments in our partners as well. On the diversity side, I'd like to comment on that because that was equally as important and impactful, I think. I really, if you recall back to last summer and the senseless murders of George Floyd and others, it really became important to listen and understand. And I, quite frankly, took the opportunity to learn more about what it meant to be Black in America. And I really reached out to a number of my employees, a number of partners, and begin this process to understand that. And as a result, I've made some changes in our partner business and the way I lead my team. For example, I recognize we need to continue to help our partners grow, recruit more people, train more people, just get more consultants in the marketplace because the demand is there. What if we do that, though, and we do it intentionally with diversity and inclusion in mind? So I created something called the Talent Alliance, where I asked our partners to say, if you are recruiting in Salesforce for your Salesforce business, of which all of them are, I would like you to take a pledge, a public pledge that says, I will recruit with inclusive hiring principles in how I recruit. And by the way, if they didn't have those written down, we sent them ours because we created those for ourselves. And so we'll share what we provided there. But I also figured out a way to align all these amazing workforce development groups. Europe is one that comes to mind. Salesforce Military is another one that's been quite successful. All of these are finding incredible talent And the opportunity we have is to map up that talent, point them to Salesforce so they can learn and begin their journey, and then introduce them into the ecosystem who are hiring at record rates. And so we've created this ecosystem of talent and hiring firms and put those together in a more seamless way. And the results are phenomenal. We're adding thousands of people every quarter that have never been part of Salesforce, that are most likely from a diverse background based on where we're recruiting and where we're focusing in the workforce development programs we're working on. And it's created this incredible flywheel. In fact, there is so much that has been coming from this. I ended up hiring on my team a report to me, a head of ecosystem equality, and their job is to figure out how can we work with our thousands of partners around the world to be more inclusive, to hire and retain and engage and create more diverse businesses and more diverse staff within their businesses. And so it's really an important mission that we're on, and I think we're having an impact.
Kudos. Tell me, so as the world turned upside down and you try to move everyone to digital, virtual delivery and so on, how did the partners react? I interviewed the guy who leads alliances for Workday, and he told me something that I didn't expect in the business. He says, Vinnie, it was very collaborative. Firms started to collaborate with each other rather than compete and discuss best practices on virtual delivery and so on. Did you find something similar?
Yeah, I think we've always tried to build a sense of community within our ecosystem. So we've had success with partner advisory councils, and those are either by product or by industry. We've got a variety of those, and it's very powerful when you get these amazing business professionals, business owners, business leaders together that inherently probably are competing every day, but have a common interest in trying to be more efficient and having a bigger impact. And so we've seen great success in that. In fact, if I could give you one more example on this idea of diversity, we ended up putting an equality partner advisory board together, which essentially was bring best practices from software companies and consulting companies that are part of our ecosystem and share what they're doing in how they are supporting more diverse teams within an organization or bringing new leadership in that reflects the communities in which they live and serve. And by the way, we had 400 nominations, people that volunteered. We only had slots for 16, but we had 400 business executives that wanted to be part of this diverse council, this diverse partner advisory board. And it's just remarkable to see the kinds of things that this group is talking about.
So Tyler, I've just written a book for a tech CEO. It's a term called servitization. So it's how industrial companies are turning product into services, right? Moving from a sale model to a subscription model, outcome-based contracts, and so on and so forth. And what you notice there is it's all digital services, very low human service delivery. The business that you and I grew in hasn't changed much. They still want to sell armies of people, right? I thought the pandemic would force them to rethink, they would automate more and so on. I don't see that happening. Am I misreading it? What do you see in your partner community? Are you seeing more automation? Are you seeing less travel as a long-term trend? Tell us about what you're seeing.
Yeah, I think I share a slightly different view maybe on the evolution of the consulting industry, and obviously you had a successful career in it, and so your perspective is great. I actually am in the belief that these firms, these consulting firms, big and small, are also an annuity business, meaning they need to show value to their customers to be able to sell more work and do the next project and be thought of in order to bring in to work on something new. So I'm less of a believer that these firms, even though the reputation sometimes is big projects, lots of people, can't always want to be there. I actually think they're more focused than ever on providing value to their customers. And if the customer is saying, I want a quick win, I want a quick ROI, I want it rapid, then that's what these firms, the good firms, in fact, will react to that. You're a road warrior. I was a road warrior. The last 18 months have been very, very different, certainly for so many people. I don't think we will see a snap back to 4 days a week, 4 to 5 days a week at customer sites. I think we've proven that work can get done from anywhere. I think the proximity to your customer, certainly building the relationship and understanding your customer and and that personal nuance is critical, and we need to get back to that. But I don't think sitting side by side necessarily 4 days a week, in a cube next to your customer is going to be a requirement moving forward. And I do think all these firms are reimagining how they work in a digital world as well. Slack, for example, has been a powerful tool that many of our consulting partners are using to collaborate on sales pursuits or delivery pursuits. They're all using, virtually every partner we have is using Salesforce to manage their opportunities and collaborate on accounts and have insight about their customers. So I think the innovation and the digital adoption is increasing on how these companies do their work.
Well, we can certainly hope it keeps evolving. I don't see it enough in the SAP or some other worlds. It's still very, very labor intensive. And after having done 1 million ERP projects and 1 million CRM projects, you go, guys, there's got to be some more automation that you can show. So yeah. we can agree to disagree a little bit there. But,
well, I'll give you one thing to consider. Pandemic fueled, but we have we determined very quickly in the pandemic that our platform, our solution, could play a very critical role in everything from contract tracing to vaccine distribution and management. And years ago, yes, partners would have said, well, that will take months, if not years, to deploy that in the state of fill in the blank. These projects were being rolled out in days, and they were done fully remotely. And so I think that's the power of urgency of being able to work in a distributed environment, and the power of platforms like Salesforce, and there's others that are nimble enough to be able to be deployed very quickly and see an ROI. In this case, immeasurable ROI, but incredible ROI in a very short period of time. Well,
that's great to hear, Tyler. Thank you for giving me that perspective, right? So let's talk about the diversity at the firm level, right? You've talked about diversity at the individual level. You've always done a good job. Salesforce has always had a good job with global firms, like the Accentures and the Aperios of the world, and so on, right? Has that continued, and how do you balance that? It must be tough to, they're so different culturally, right? How do you manage that diversity?
And can you just clarify? You mean the diversity between
the firms? So some of them are large global firms. Some of them are specialists in Salesforce. Some of them are regional specialists. Some of them are vertical specialists. How do you manage all that diversity?
Yeah, I think clearly we have an ecosystem of thousands of consulting partners, thousands of software partners. And so by definition, no firm is exactly the same. And certainly size is somewhat different. There, some firms specialize in particular products or countries or regions or geos or industries. Some are more generalist in nature. And it's just a recognition that we always put the customer at the center of everything we do. Meaning, if you're a consulting firm, a digital agency, or an ISV partner, what is it you're doing to add value to that customer? So if you put the customer in the center, that resolves any nuance of, are you a big firm or a little firm? The other thing we've done is try to democratize the training and the ability to get enabled on Salesforce and become a consultant. And so we took a version of Trailhead, which is a learning platform that we use internally. We also distribute that and sell that to our customers. We've taken a version of that called Partner Learning Camp, and we made that available to all of our partners. So it doesn't matter if you're big or small, you have the same access to hundreds of courses on how to be an architect in these use cases, or how to be a consultant, or learn about our solutions by industry. And so whether you're an independent contractor and want to learn about Salesforce, or you're part of one of the biggest firms in the world, you have access to the same content. And we try to make that as frictionless and as expense free as totally possible. So that's one way. I think if you can democratize that simply then allows people to go and engage and find customers and add value to those customers.
So let's talk about ISVs, since you also cover that, right? I mean, maybe unfair, but you look at the Apple store, the iOS store, less so the Android store, but you could see they're flowing billions and billions of dollars into that ecosystem. Apple reports how much they pay out in royalties and so on. The enterprise world has talked about ISVs and platforms for 20, 25 years, but you just don't see as much. There's not as much transparency to how much really flows there. Give us some visibility on how vibrant your ISV ecosystem is.
Yeah, so our version of the iStore or the Apple Store is the AppExchange, which is the enterprise marketplace. I think we have over 7,000 solutions or applications that customers can go find. You can search, as you might expect, by industry or product or country. You could look at user reviews on people that have downloaded these apps, and you can simply, in most cases, simply download or install an application that extends our products into your instance of Salesforce, your org, and that's been pretty powerful. The value from that, certainly there's an economic benefit to that, but that's not really the reason we have a platform, and not really a reason that we are growing this ecosystem fairly rapidly. It's more important because it adds value to customers. So when customers, if there's a particular business challenge that maybe Salesforce doesn't address, maybe it's an industry unique kind of thing that we just haven't built, there's probably an app for that. And so that means the customer is getting more value out of their solution. You mentioned nCino before. nCino has been incredible in a particular element of banking that the Salesforce didn't address, and it was built for a bank by bankers, and it's a company that has grown up on the Salesforce platform, completely native to our solution, and has delivered incredible value to banking customers all around the world, very complementary to what Salesforce brings to the table. And so that happens to be a really exciting one. They went public last year. You probably followed that. It's been, incredibly successful. An amazing CEO. They're just a great company. But we have lots of those, and not all of them are that. Okay.
Hey, Tyler, I've dealt with other partners of yours like Financial Force and Rootstock and so on. The thing is, we don't get much visibility into how much flows through AppExchange to them, how much they get to their own, because they have their own direct sales forces and so on. So tell us a little bit about how vibrant the deal flow is through AppExchange.
Yeah, I think it's been exciting to see the growth of the AppExchange, and more importantly, the growth of the providers of the solutions behind it. And you mentioned some of our great ISVs, others that you've mentioned before, like nCino and others equally as exciting. And the value that they're enjoying really depends on the solution they're providing. In some cases, it's they're extending Salesforce product, leveraging our platform, but extending maybe an industry best practice or some solution that complements Sales Cloud or Service Cloud or marketing or whatever the case might be. In other cases, they may be completely adjacent to CRM. You mentioned Rootstock, and you're aware of their functionality, which really is certainly critical to customer engagement, but it's not defined as a critical element of sales, service, marketing, or commerce. And so the value that they're seeing and enjoying really is directly related to the solutions they're providing. And the AppExchange is an exciting place for customers to go and look and see what's possible, what's available, what innovation is out there. And so the uptake on customers going to the AppExchange continues to grow. The number of installs from the AppExchange continues to grow, and it really is an exciting, unique offering I think we provide to our customers to benefit our partners.
Have you seen any flow through? You have the ISVs obviously, and you've got the SIs. Are the SIs building for the AppExchange? Have you seen some of that?
So there's a couple of things going on. One is the answer is yes. So there are the world of consulting and solution providing and software is blurring a bit. So you certainly see Deloitte comes to mind. Deloitte has created a number of what we would consider software assets and have those available on the AppExchange. Happen to address specific industry requirements. So that's pretty exciting. The other thing that's exciting though as well is the power of what I call the connected ecosystem. So if I'm working with consulting partners and helping them understand how to go help their customers be successful, clearly we're helping them understand the benefits of sales, service, marketing, commerce. But I can also at the same time help them understand the robust ecosystem of software partners that we have as well. And so that creates an incredible flywheel effect, because essentially I'm able to get firms like Accenture, Deloitte, and companies, SIs big and small, not only understanding our solution, but that of our software partners as well. So it's a benefit to our software partners. It's a benefit to the consulting partners because they can assemble a solution of Salesforce plus our AppExchange ecosystem. And most importantly, it's a benefit to our customers because they get a more comprehensive, robust solution. They're able to avoid custom modifications. They're able to pick something from the AppExchange. And so that really has been, I think, a pretty unique approach that we've benefited from.
So there's another leg to this tool, right? It's called the Trailblazer community, which Salesforce did a great job building this low code type of community. Are you involved with that also?
Absolutely. And you use the word community, and that's exactly what it is. The community is defined of anyone and everyone that really participates in and around Salesforce. So it could be developers, it could be admins, it could be CEOs, it could be users. And in my case, the Trailblazer community that I support in my job are consultants and architects, software developers, software companies. And so clearly this umbrella and this energy and focus and the way we prioritize these people, these humans, this community that we call Trailblazers, I'm able to take that same energy and passion and excitement and construct to our partners. And that's how we engage with them. Our events, we celebrate our partner Trailblazers. Our partner learning camp, we welcome our Trailblazers in to take training and learn more about our solutions.
So you think the world is moving to low code and citizen development?
Yeah, I think clearly the ability to assemble solutions in easier, faster ways is it's not a fad. Like it's here to stay. And you and I have seen a number of evolutions of technology over the years. And this is a simple, this is a straightforward next way of developing solutions for sure.
Tyler, it's great to see you involved in so many aspects of the ecosystem, right? Most vendors have it kind of fragmented, and it's good that they've given you a chance to bring so much of that together. What else excites you?
It's very timely that we recently closed the acquisition of Slack, biggest acquisition our company has ever made. And more importantly, just to really start to understand the value of what Slack can provide to our customers is pretty exciting. And what we are thinking about and talking about and building is how do we reimagine these user experiences of Salesforce and have it be Slack first experiences. So think about a system of engagement now being Slack and able to communicate and collaborate with sales teams. So imagine swarming with sales teams and collaborating, or directly with your customers to really understand what the requirements are and communicate back and forth within Slack, but then still have all the elements of Salesforce that makes us great in all these various clouds and solutions, serving that up in Slack as well. Or imagine a customer service experience where you're able to more effectively chat and share information with your customers, or bring other experts into the conversation and feel and see and have all this context around what the issue is. So I think this idea of the Slack first Salesforce and Slack first Customer 360 is really pretty compelling. It's going to be exciting.
I guess we're going to hear a lot more of that. Success from anywhere, right? Given
That's right.
The continuing lockdowns and so on.
Well, the other thing you've probably heard us talk about. In fact, we just closed our second quarter, and Mark Benioff, our CEO, of course, talked about the digital HQ. And so thinking about this idea that how do you work from anywhere? How do you sell, service, market, and engage from anywhere? And this idea of moving from buildings to a digital HQ, we think is going to be powered by Slack. I heard another interesting anecdote or comment or quote that we've all moved from highways to hallways to go do our job. So rather than spending time commuting, we're waking up and engaging in how we are right now.
Different world than what you and I grew up with, right?
Yes, it is.
Road warrior culture.
That's right.
Tyler, this has been fantastic. So good to see you again, and stay safe. And we'll see you in person one of these days.
Vinnie, it's always great to reconnect, and it's good to see all the incredible work you're doing. So thanks for having me, and we'll catch up soon.